Hello, everybody. We are here. I am here. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to start all over again. Welcome to the Petropolis podcast. Today I'm interviewing Terri Grow. Terri had a store for 25 years called PetSage. Anyone that is in the pet retail or pet industry should know who Terri is. She's a brilliant animal health specialist, and I am very excited to have you here today, Terri. Welcome to the Petropolis podcast, or welcome to my podcast. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you. I know we've been trying to set this up for months now, and I'm excited that we can do this.
Well, it's taken a while because there's been a lot of emotions lately.
Yes.
Putting COVID aside, because that's kind of going to hang. It's been hanging over us for a year, but you have closed your store of 25 years. You closed it October 31st.
Yep. 31st of October. It was one of those, COVID probably, I have to say, was the last straw, but there were other factors, and I found myself at a crossroads that I really wanted to step more into research, writing, which I love, education, being an advocate. I'm doing a lot more with cat health, which is something that is a passion of mine. So I just felt that it was time to close that part of my life. And yeah, it was really emotional. Some of the hardest things were the community that I had developed. I had clients standing in front of me in tears, and that was really hard to handle. But and then the actual physical labor of closing something that from 20, it's like worse than moving a house, I think. It was. I still have bruises of things that fell on me or trying to move some of the freezers. It was crazy, but I did it.
You did it. You did it. 25 years PetSage was open. I opened my store 15 years ago.
Wow.
And
congrats.
I don't know.
Retail is fabulous in some ways, and it is a challenge in others. And let's just be upfront about that.
Yes. And one thing, when you opened, retail isn't what it is now. It's not, what it is now isn't what it was when I opened 15 years ago. Correct. Either.
Yeah.
Customers have changed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's for the better or for worse. It's kind of a juggling process. And this is why I'm learning to juggle, because I feel like I can drop balls. If I drop balls, I'll do better.
Right.
But tell me what you were thinking. And I know you had sick animals when you started, like many of us want to do something to help our own animals. But 25 years ago, it wasn't. And we were just talking about this. The chaos that exists now was
Correct.
not in existence 25 years ago. Can you tell me what you mean by that when you made that statement to me?
Well, it's gosh, when I started, like as it says, I had sick animals, and I was really digging through, trying to find I was looking at health foods and health things for my own health. I looked at the animals. There really wasn't. Back then, we actually had real health food stores, which they are also rare now. Mm-hmm. And I can remember walking down their aisles, looking for healthy pet food, looking for herbal therapies, how to use them safely. And my husband and I were driving back from Florida one time, and he said to me, you really need to think about doing something with this. So the next thing I know, I was on the way to Atlanta, looking through one of the pet trade shows, and I'll never forget this. Lewis Gottlieb of Dr. Good Pet. I don't know if you even remember that.
I do. I absolutely do. I know. Yeah. Their IC drops are my favorite.
Oh, aren't they the best?
They are the best. I use it for all. I actually just used it on my cat who has an upper respiratory. It's the best thing.
I've used it with humans with pink eye. So yeah, I don't, it's a pet product, remember, but, and I remember Lewis saying, what we really need is somebody that can help get these products to the consumer, get them to the the pet owners. Nobody was really doing something. So I came home, put a business plan together, and a friend of mine looked at it and he said, you really need to be looking at mail order. And that's actually how I started the company, was mail order. And that lasted till my first trade show.
Was it a backer trade show, one of the backers?
No, it was actually one of the local groups organized it.
Okay.
And I began to have more retail people walking in. And then in 2001, so I started in 95, 2001, I opened up 2,500 square feet of retail store and maintained the online store. I'm kind of proud of the fact I was one of the first online pet stores back in 1996.
Yes. I know. I was actually looking at your stuff, which is amazing because I couldn't find anything. And at the time, I had gotten married and we had a cat, and this cat had so many issues. There was one store in New York City, and at the time, the mindset was very different than it is now. It wasn't about sell, sell, sell. It was about heal, heal, heal.
Correct.
Healing was the most important thing. Although they were very pushy with vitamins, and I was, being a type 1 diabetic, I've always been food first. Supplements are there to supplement food. And, we know Greg Tilford and using herbs and homeopathy. And I worked with a homeopathic vet for 10 years as well, physically worked with all his clients and patients doing their food consults. So there were so many things happening in the late 1990s, early 2000s that people now, I mean, they wouldn't have no clue that we were doing this stuff then. Now, learning through Anitra Fraser's book, and
was she a pioneer? I mean, that's the thing. I still pick up her book when I need particular things. I will actually pick up her book.
Richard Pitcairn's book with homeopathy. That was who mentored Anitra. Now, who's your mentor?
I actually have several. A dear friend and probably one of my favorite is Dr. Barbara Fougere. Jordan Cosin, who is local. I observed with him many, many years. And I'm excited. He invited me to actually have consulted his new clinic in the last few years. So that's been really nice. I have to look at Greg Tilford. I mean, Greg has been somebody for me that has helped expand my thinking and different perspectives over the years. So there isn't just one. Feline practitioners have been Andrea Tassi, who is a homeopath that I work with, also kept digging at me on looking for certain things for cat care. And so it's been an evolution, you might say, of different types of mentors. But it's interesting. I find your statement where it was heal, heal, heal versus sell, sell, sell. I think we are at a transition. What COVID, I think, will help us step back and look at is revisiting some of the roots that the whole holistic community came from.
Are you saying that at the retail level, or?
I hope so. One of the things that I remember over the years, people jump into the pet business because it survives recessions. It's one of those stable businesses in theory that people, they love animals. This is going to be a good thing to do and invest. And they don't understand a lot of the principles from a holistic perspective, I think. And they don't even know who their client is. I don't know if that's your experience, but I've been in panels in trade shows over the years, and clients are asking me about what products to handle, or owners of other stores in my area would come in and say, tell me which products to handle because your clients are asking for them. Well, there's so many things wrong with that, but that's another discussion.
I was just going to say, your clients are asking for them at another store? I mean, I love the F word.
Well, Taz, you have to understand, I am actually blown away by some of the comments that one of the stores that I was just referring to is 20 minutes from me. And clients are saying it is too far to drive in the traffic in this area to go to
Virginia?
People don't understand and they don't listen to their clients. I think a lot of times, you know, their client comes in, they want a quick fix. And it's very important that if you really want to get to the root of something, yeah, I can give you a quick fix, but you're going to be back in the same boat in months from now. Let's really talk to the client and listen and help them with a solution.
Again, the conversation is getting to know the clients, and the retail stores have forgotten who the end user is, and it's the pets. And for us, it's work that we have to do to teach the consumer. But first of all, we have to have that knowledge. We have to be the ones who have learned and understand. Yes. So, and relying on manufacturers to teach us is a dangerous space to step into.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I said relying on manufacturers to teach us
yes,
what is right and wrong, or what works and what doesn't, is a dangerous space for pet retail businesses to step into.
Absolutely. It is critical. No, I think it is critical that if you listen to a manufacturer and follow their guidelines, you are not fulfilling your potential that you could be for your client. You know, Jordan Cousin, as I mentioned earlier, he said one of the first things he tells his clients to do is read at least 3 books on holistic care. So you have 3 different perspectives, just not one, which to me, it's the same principle. Talk to 3 different manufacturers, get their philosophy. Why are there foods? Yes, really understanding what's going on with the animal. And I'll take it a step farther. I think we're fighting a battle with the pet owner because the pet industry has sold them that it's easy to take care of their pets. You can feed them cheaply. You can fix their problems with a magic remedy. And that's not the case. We're finding out with our own health, we're seeing through this pandemic, it is not a quick fix. And I really, one of my goals with stepping out of what I was doing as retail is spending more time trying to help educate people to understand they're responsible. They really need to understand, be able to question their veterinarians. And I know veterinarians are going to hate me because they've already, don't rely on Dr. Google. Really go to a reliable source that Google has sent you to, perhaps. Don't just say.
Well, I have the Merck manual. I get the latest edition. You can look up anything. It gives you the perspective of disease state for cats, dogs. You can ignore the cattle and
right.
But you can look at the disease states and have an understanding of what's going on as a pet owner. And that actually will lead you to ask better questions. It's a book. And I take it with me whenever I'm at the vet, even though as much knowledge as I have, it's, when you're in a vet's office,
I lose all control. I don't know about you.
Last night I took my cat to the vet and I had my Merck manual. I'm looking up feline upper respiratory infection. This cat has had so many issues and has had trauma on the hard palate and soft palate and had major surgeries. So I look at hard palate, soft palate, rhinitis. I mean, I'm looking up everything. I read everything and I stand there. I'm like, okay, I know what's going on. I actually had perspective because of her symptoms. Mm-hmm. It's and I know not everyone's going to do that.
No.
That's because this is what I do and this is what you do.
Right.
But we can get information. It's available. Easier now than 25 years ago.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes.
Or 15 years ago.
I know. But, people use time as we all do that. And so, I worry about people that I've got a dehydrated food and I say, all you have to do is add water to feed this. I'm too busy to do something like that. So, yeah. So that's where I kind of step back and I want to ask people, and this, I know this is a hard question, why the heck do you have an animal? Understand that it takes a little bit more than pouring out some kibble and walking away.
Yeah.
So
You think the pet industry has, besides commoditizing food and health, they've commoditized ownership?
yeah, they've dumbed down, what the responsibility, what I think of, they've made it easy, which in one hand is fantastic because there are so many people and they're trying to convince people to take pet ownership. And so they've made it easier for them. But the owner as a consumer has lost the understanding of what really is species appropriate for that animal.
Why do you think the industry as a whole has deviated, or were they even ever there? Why do you think the industry as a whole does this?
The easy answer is to say it's money. I was chatting with a distributor several weeks ago about, and I think you and I even touched on it a couple of weeks ago. It's, when the melamine issue happened and everybody jumped into the holistic bandwagon,
That was
venture capitalists.
2007.
Yeah.
2007, right.
And so we saw a number of pet stores jump in the market at that time that they're going to only carry natural foods. That became an opportunity for money, for venture capital, for investors. And it became an issue of looking at the bottom line, not looking at the health of the animal. And so there is a fine line of trying to balance that, of being profitable, offering something, and yet at the same time responding to share owners or shareholders, I think. So it's a balance, and in big business, that's a challenge now. Of people want everything for a cheap price, and it's not possible. So
I guess you can't have free range, free roaming cattle and free roaming chickens.
Right.
Live a decent lifespan and have a quality of life and expect to get it at 75 cents a pound, or buy a dozen for $1.20 and expect it to be organic, free range, and the chickens were running around happily. There's a reality here that we keep missing as consumers.
Absolutely. And I just think so much of it, what you and I were talking, is just lack of education. What it really takes to feed our animals properly, to care for them properly, is that education is not out there, I think, in levels that need to be.
I have to disagree. I think the information's available. I think the louder, there's a louder group.
Well, you've got a point there, yeah.
When you look at Mars having ownership in veterinary clinics, when you look at studies that are financed by, and between Mars, Purina, and Nestle, they're all investing in the growth of smaller companies who are doing things differently. And eventually, and yes, these companies want someone's money to take them to the next level. Look at the insect side. Look at the side with using insects as a source of food now for pets. So there's investment by the big guys because that's another segment of the industry that they want to be in and they want to have a big part of, have ownership of, and they'll participate in the research and development. They'll be a huge part of it. What they do with it and how they educate the consumer and take the consumer to the direction where they want the consumer to go is very different than what the facts are. And the reality is, with holistic way of living and food and consuming and caring for yourself, they're two different sides, I guess. I don't even know how else to put it.
And there is definitely different sides, like you say, is what's the way to say that. But You know, even something simple. I was doing some research a couple of weeks ago for some cat disorder. I can't, I'm sorry, I can't remember what it was. And I went to several of this, you know, whether it was Tufts or Cornell or somebody else. And the whole thing, the start out of the concept is cats are carnivores, species appropriate diets. And yet what they're turning out is the inverse of what really cats need. So they're telling them one thing and feeding something or producing something else, because meat protein and plant protein, protein's protein, I get it, but how the cat accesses is a very different thing.
Protein is protein. No,
I mean, when you take it to the molecular protein, but how the cat accesses, whether it's meat protein versus plant protein, are two different things.
yeah, we're killing our cats with
Yeah,
soy protein, wheat gluten. There's no
yeah,
reason for them to be on a fancy feast
yeah.
when you can get foods that are high in protein.
Mhm.
Or yeah,
Well, meat protein, and
protein.
that's where people really, just understanding a label is very hard for people.
But the label doesn't really have any information on
I
it.
agree
That's
with
where
you.
AFCO comes into play. There's the less information, the better. And when you go to an AFCO meeting, if you've ever been to an AFCO meeting, they keep ignoring that label fact that, you know, that people that actually care about animal welfare
Mhm.
are there fighting for. It's been years that the whole label issue has been out front
I
at
don't see it
AFCO.
ever being resolved because of look who's on the AFCO, you know, people that are trying. I don't see it being resolved.
When you see one end of the table is all run by Royal Canin, Mars, and Nestle, and the other side is, of course, FDA, USDA,
Mhm.
and the vets. You sit back and you say, well, why are corporations on this board
Uh-huh. Yep.
and
Yeah.
lobbyists that work
Yes.
for those corporations?
Right.
So, and that's very telling in what direction the pet industry wants to go and or stay in, wants to stay in. They don't want to evolve from where we are right now. And
No.
it's a dangerous place, I think, for both um, retailers like you and I. You're no longer there, but you know, for people like us, I think it's a very difficult place to be because we always have to be on top of it. And
Mhm.
is it something that we can do anymore?
Right. And I think being on top of what you say is absolutely stepping aside and not listening to particular manufacturers or finding out where their sources, meaning their information comes from, so that you have an understanding of the products that you're offering and why you are offering those products. Don't do it because the store down the street offers it. I mean, Taz, one of the reasons that I looked at the crossroad is I ended up in the last few years, I had 16, I think it was 16, the last count I had, pet stores within about 15 minutes of me. How can you sell? I mean, we're a metropolitan area, but
Mhm.
still, but it goes back to the whole issue that you were just saying, you know, or we were talking about people, they don't want to go out of their comfort zone. And this is what's comfortable. So it's, I don't know.
I think
It's,
people think pet retail is easy.
yeah.
The other thing, I think they think because they have a dog
Hmm.
and they love their dog,
Hmm.
it's easy. It's a
Yeah.
business.
Right.
And it's unfair to say that any retail is easy. But pet, I think if you want to make it easy and want to be a store like that has everything that Chewy has on the shelves, then you're not going to get anywhere. I think this is where failure, and we're seeing it. Stores are closing left and right.
Yeah.
And it's not just because of COVID, it's because they weren't diversified and they didn't have the knowledge to begin with, nor did they care to gain that knowledge.
It's hard.
It's
It's
not.
hard
It's
being,
not if
no,
you don't want, if it's not if you want to do it.
it's hard being different, you know, and and it, and the reason I say that is one of the most enlightening things was this year or the last 2 years with the whole dilated cardiomyopathy issue. was extremely enlightening to me, because I had clients coming in with their veterinarians giving them such bad information that I had to step up and say, I'm sorry, that's incorrect. You've been given poor information. That takes a lot for people that really don't have the background that you and I have, or really haven't stepped up to it. So all of a sudden, they're having to follow through with, oh yeah, let's just add these foods because that's what the manufacturers told me to do. Am I making sense here? I mean,
you are. No, you are. And unfortunately, I was just thinking, when you Google DCM, the first thing that comes up is grain in foods.
Yeah.
Which is a fallacy. And if you, if you get pet food industry publication, you read Dr. Ryan Yamka's articles about DCM, where he covers it from beginning to where we are now, and the bullshit associated with ancient grains.
Yeah. I knew I was in trouble when one of my clients came in to me and said, my vet just told me to add rice to the diet that I've been giving right now.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, but that, you know what, there's the problem, Terri. Why are our vets not paying attention either? Those are the people that our customers are going to, right? Your customers are going to the vet expecting an answer that has been researched, expecting results from researched, data. So
I think our roles as retailers, and I actually gave a lecture to this years ago at AHVMA, and I would love to do it at some point to AVMA, but I doubt that will ever be asked, is of really creating a network of pet stores in your area for the veterinarians to actually go into a holistic pet store, talk to the owners, talk to people, and vice versa. When I started out, I actually took my little dog and pony show, my little laptop, and I gave presentations at many of the clinics in the area. First, to show them that I wasn't a crazy woman because, I was using all these natural things, but I just really wanted to show them as a business person how we could support each other. And I think that is a role that really needs to be looked at anymore. Yes, it's going to be hard, but I think it is an opportunity. You have a personal vet, start from there. Or, a lot of the stores that are coming out, there is a lot to be said for working together so that you help them and they help you. I mean, come on, if you've got a pet veterinary clinic that's referring clients to you, that's a direct feed into your business.
Absolutely.
So how to do that and work with veterinarians, I think, is something that really needs to be looked at, because I do think I do believe that there are a number of vets. It's just it comes back to lack of information. They've been taught by Mars, Royal Canin, and Science Diet what pet foods should be, where they're seeing that it doesn't always solve the issues. So why not step a little bit farther out of their comfort zone as well?
I think part of the problem is that the claims that the industry makes in food are lacking validation.
Absolutely.
And when you have Science Diet and Royal Canin, they're validating the data. They're letting you know that this works for urinary disorders. I'm not telling you how long it's going to work for it, but it does work. You have this 3 to 6 month outline of how the foods are going to work for your animal, and your cat's not going to develop any more struvite crystals.
Right.
We'll just throw that out there. So, but then they give the cat dry food and we're causing dehydration. And yes, it made the urine a little bit more acidic and blah, 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 all this. But long-term, it's not going to help the animal heal and not be constantly in a state of trauma.
Right.
So, but they have validated the results. The problem with food companies these days is they make a lot of claims, Terri. I'd like to see them come forward with some facts and show us some validation of what of the reality of what they're claiming.
And I agree with you on that. The challenge is research dollars. How can they, it doesn't have to be their own research. I think, I've worked with several food formulators. There's a lot of research that's out there that you can apply to support your, not so much claims, but support what you are trying to offer. I'm recently doing it I'm working with a veterinary nutritionist of a feline kidney diet for people to make homemade. And what we've done is gone back and look at a lot of the other studies to support what we're trying to do, to say that it is a kidney diet, but it's based on the studies that got us to this point. Now, can I say it's AAFCO approved? Absolutely not. But I can show that my data is supported.
That's my cat trying to go into a paper bag. That's it. That's hers.
They always enough. It's like, come on, I want attention now.
No, she's mad at me anyway. So,
because you took her.
She's such a little bitch. I love these animals.
I know.
So it's not AAFCO approved.
No.
So what? AAFCO standards are.
Yeah, we know that too. But my point is, if you're going to be in the commercial market, that's one thing. But there is, I agree with you. I think a lot more information can be available to companies that want to use it to support their claims.
I think it starts with retailers. If they were to start asking questions, the consumer will do it one by one, and they'll go after one company if they feel their food made their animals sick. Mm-hmm. That's usually the process with the pet owners.
Right.
But on the retail side, where we come in or have come in, I think if we don't stand up and start asking questions, the same thing is just going to keep going, and we're going to start to hear.
I actually felt you had a better way to handle that. In you're right, and I'm not saying that's wrong, asking questions. But if I had issues with a pet food that I wasn't getting answers for, I stopped carrying it. I sent it back, and I made a note, and I made a claim to that company to say, this is why I am not promoting your product any longer. And I think retailers have to do that.
Yes.
That truly is a voice that you have. And it's the same thing. I wrote an article a number of years ago on when people buy on price alone, what are you doing and voting with your dollars? It's really, we'll be here for several hours, Taz.
Well, I think everyone wants it easy.
Yeah.
People are looking for something. They're hoping that they get the truth. They're hoping the claims are factual without them having to do the work. And it's being proven just by all the sickness that we have. Look at our political environment. Look at what's happening with this disease state in our country. Mm-hmm. We need to take it into our own hands and demand better of every company that is going to make a claim that they are better. Are you better? Show me. It's about, it's like, show me the money.
Yeah.
Show me the money.
Yes.
Let's get off this, and I want to go to you.
Okay. No.
Yes. I want to go to you. So you closed the store October 31st, 25 years, and snap of a finger, kind of. You closed the store. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just COVID. What else was there? 16 stores opening up, all that, but there's more to it than this, Terri. And how are you doing now?
Well, thanks for asking. I'm trying to get a little downtime, but I think I had part of a new direction, or I shouldn't say new, kind of taking what you're doing and what I've been doing over the years, I wanted to expand on that. And it started about 10 years ago when I wrote a booklet for a raw food manufacturer on species appropriate diets for cats. I loved it. I loved writing it. I loved researching it. And that took me to doing more, at that time, seminars, lectures. I even started a small feline herbal line that for more over-the-counter specific issues. Then several years ago, I did 3 webinars for the school CIVT on feline health and wellness. So my true passion of really focusing on cats started to push through more and more, and doing more one-on-one consulting with clients and their owners in the industry. And I just got to a crossroads. I think it was building, like you say, it was building over the years of what I wanted, what was my true passion, and being, like you, more of an advocate for our animals, really trying to help people cut through the crap, or you might say, and being more aware of it, because people will step out of their veterinary clinic and go, what am I supposed to do? And you know, they're confused, they've been overwhelmed. They go home, they look at things. And so I just came to a crossroads and I said, this is what COVID was definitely an issue that I had to deal with for the last year. I mean, it was very hard in retail, as you know. Take what you really want from all of this and step into a new role. And that's what I decided. You know, I jokingly say Terri 2.0, but the marketing strategist is like, oh, no, that's not really cool. So
Terri 2.0, that sounds good. That sounds good. And you've chosen to get rid of the PetSage aspect now.
Oh boy, that was
your store. I mean, I get it. And I'm asking, this is all, sorry, listeners, this is for personal growth here. I'm not saying this won't help others, but it's definitely, I hear where you are.
I that was probably right up there with, you know, PetSage is such, I had people saying it's what a great name. I own the name, you know, it's, you know, you should keep it. I also found it restrictive. And that's what I finally was my decision when I was sitting and talking with people about where I wanted to go, things that I wanted to do. I would have clients that pushing me back in that role of the PetSage standing at the counter. And that was tough. It was very tough to make that decision, but I'm, you know, there are moments that I still kind of go, oh, you worked so hard to get that name and that brand out there. But
yeah, but it was you.
And that's yeah, behind it, that truly was, that's why people came to my store. I finally had to admit they wanted my brain. So I took my brain and I'm just doing it a different way.
So you put your brain back into your own head.
Yeah.
Instead of in your store.
In my store. I like that. I like that.
You stop giving away your brain.
Yes. 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 Because it's hard.
It is. And also you're a conduit of information for the consumer. And they come in, they ask the question, then they walk away purchasing products online, and they take, it almost feels like, oh, I feel like I've been taken advantage of.
Absolutely, you have.
And you feel kind of, I don't know, it seems kind of ugly sometimes.
It does.
And I don't want relationships to be ugly, you know,
right.
So.
You know, I can remember, this is a number of years ago, I had one client actually laugh in my face at the counter because I said, I'd be happy to answer a question for you, but this case is more complex. We really need to set up a consult. Here are my fees. And she laughed at me. And why should I pay you money?
Okay.
She wasn't a client any longer. So,
That's interesting because they'll go to their vets and they'll pay money for that
mhm,
literally 4-minute visit
mhm.
where, physical is done real quickly. And I'm not, believe me, I love my vets. I have so much respect for them and the information
Absolutely.
and I work with them. I'm not, but they want, after the vet, they think you're going to fix it with a supplement. Everyone wants that magic pill.
Correct.
And because you're standing behind that counter, that you're the producer of the magic pill. And there's some stores that have created that environment
Mhm.
where they make the consumer think that they do have the magic pill. There's one in New York that just kept shoving, pills,
Really.
and um, they're all over. And I think part of the problem is we've created our own
Mhm.
hell here.
Um,
Yeah. We want it easy. We want to be able to have the business. We want to have, and I'm not talking about me or you, but there's this
right.
mindset of wanting to have it all and be able to give all the answers, but not doing the research, not doing the footwork, not getting the information for us to be able to connect the dots and sit back and say, you know what? I have the knowledge,
Right.
value that knowledge and work with me.
Mhm.
And I think we've commoditized ourselves in this whole process, the ones that are doing it.
It evolved that way, and the way I kind of justify it is when you and I started, that information, we could sell the product and we gained a client.
Yeah. Yes.
We actually, and that network spread and that network spread. Then all of a sudden, that knowledge that we had was, the answers were being sold less expensive in other places. And I think partly because, as you had said earlier, clients don't understand a lot about retail. They have no idea how tough it is, in that we can't even match the prices because the major mass marketers are holding the manufacturers hostage for cheaper prices. And so we come out looking like a bad guy because we're charging more, but our costs are more.
Yeah. We have the overhead, we have the employees. I mean, and
But
also,
even the bottom line of the product, I can remember calling World's Best and saying, how dare you? I can buy the product cheaper online from from an online store than I'm buying from my distributor.
yes, yeah, I know.
And I'm
I
going to point
know.
out because they did it a number of times, and I'm sorry. And I like the brand, but it's
But they do that. And
yeah,
the consumer doesn't understand that.
they don't. And I can remember I had employees that I'll never forget this. I had an employee, she was retired. She came to work with me when she got out of her government job. She had, I think, several advanced degrees. And this woman would fly off the handle. Somebody called her a retail clerk. But she came to me one afternoon and she said, you've made me have a different respect. Working here, I've learned a very different respect, and I am much more courteous when I go into other retail stores. And I felt, okay, one for for how many others,
Damn
but
it, just one.
it is. Retail's, it's fabulous when you have those clients that make your day, and it is, like you say, hell when you're screaming at somebody, or someone is screaming at you because you won't take the food that they bought somewhere else, but you stock it, but they don't understand why you won't take it back.
Yeah, I know.
I know.
I had someone bring back stuff they bought on Chewy. I said, "But you didn't buy it here."
Yeah.
But but it's COVID. I said,
So
"Yep,
what?
okay." It was really funny. I said, "Okay, you leave." I mean, it was just I've gotten to a point where I'm incredibly quiet. I have stopped answering questions,
Mhm.
and I'm really. happy about this. I have to tell you, when people come in and tell me their animals' dilemmas and what's going on, and I say, okay, and what have you done? And they tell me, I say, okay, is there anything I can help you with? And they repeat everything they said. And I said, yeah, but what are you looking for? I'll show you what foods we have.
Yeah.
I will not do it anymore. And yeah, the consulting, it actually was on the rise during COVID. More and more people contacting me because my hours were different and I wasn't there as much. So
Right.
you're getting that.
Yeah.
But how long does that go on? Are you worried that, by you not being present, by you not being there, you lose that client base?
Oddly enough, since closing the store, I've probably had more inquiries from new people than not my client base at all. People that are frustrated, and just looking, honestly, part of it, and Taz, I know you know this as well, just somebody to listen to them, to say, I'm not getting answers, and to help show them where they can find some answers becomes a big key. A simple thing is the veterinarian doesn't ask that they're overfeeding the animal, and I'm not picking, because you're right, veterinarians have 5 minutes, and that's what I tried to explain when I gave the lecture years ago. Your client comes into your store, you see them 10, 15 minutes easy. Some of my clients came in weekly. Who has the greater influence here?
Right. Yes, that's so true.
So, it's the whole concept of trying to turn that around. No, it's not easy. And I trust me, I empathize with you, because it is extremely frustrating. But I think clients, I do believe that you're going to see more clients kind of like a cycle again of kind of reverting back to, or at least the clients you want are going to be revisiting stores.
Do you think that veterinarians are frustrated with the retailers and the information that they're putting out there?
I do think there is, but again, like you said earlier, what information is coming out?
That's my concern.
Yes.
What information is being put out? Because some of the things I hear from customers when they tell me this store told them to do such and such, and they're taking 7 different supplements, but the food has not been changed. Yeah.
Again,
and I'm afraid I won't say anything. Again, that silence for me, the silence has been the best thing. Being quiet has been the best thing. And I think that will make them think more. Not that I'm trying, it's just I can't emotionally give so much of myself.
I think it also needs to step back. And that was one of the reasons that I just had to step out of that environment, to say that really is actually an opportunity. Because years ago, like I was talking earlier, if I heard poor information, I actually would sit down and write a letter to the veterinarian, or send a note and say, here's some of the areas that I've been working in and I've been trained in. If you have any questions, and I'm doing it now, there are several, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact me. Here's what I've gone through to get my knowledge, so that I can be of support to you. And I think that's the only way that we're going to be able to get away from some of that misinformation.
I agree. I agree. And we also need to keep the manufacturers accountable and ask them for data.
I just think it's, again, it's more work for all of us.
Of course.
But this level.
But if we want to do this, and if we want to take care of the end user, if you got into this business because you have this love for our earth and these animals, then, step forward and do the work.
Right.
Yeah. don't watch TV tonight. Write an outline of what you're going to do.
Correct.
Just every day, make an impact.
And I will share one other thing. There are a number over the years, there were a number of stores that in our area, we would actually refer client. I knew what stores had certain things and vice versa, so that that client feels that you are helping them. You're just not trying to sell a product.
Right.
It's again, it's creating a network that can be beneficial. Now, again, this whole concept of buying on price, I think the pet owner, the consumer has to recognize that price, buying on that has a very, very harsh cost.
What is that cost?
It is the cost of lack of availability, a lack of good product. What I think a lot of clients don't understand is that when let's say you buy this product online from a company that is giving you better pricing, they decide that that product is not performing as well, they get rid of it. Your choice, by not supporting a business in that level, you are losing product selections.
We as retailers have created homes and beautiful lives for many brands. Brands that are wonderful, that I use all the time. And I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to do that all these years. And it will be very sad because most stores are pretty general. And then there are those in between that are going to look at the nooks and crannies and care. I don't know how long they're going to survive in the environment we're in, but yes, that product selection, I have to tell you, my biggest fear when COVID started was like, if I said to myself, if I close my store, where do I get the products that I would carry and recommend? And I had this moment of freak out. I said, yeah, I could order my world's best litter online. That's fine. I don't care. It's, they poop in it. But the foods, and what if I need a food that has a lot of broth in it because I have to give my cat, I have to puree it a certain way? Or what if I need a raw product and I just want to get the chubs? And there are not enough stores out there that have those kinds of selections and think about the welfare of the animal and the needs of the animal, especially with cats and just as dogs as well. I mean, I have people coming in, my dog won't eat anything. Well, he'll eat this, this, and this. And when they come back and say, he ate it all.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I've never seen this food anywhere else.
Right.
And I sit back, I'm like, that's kind of sad. I wish you did see this food somewhere else because I want your pet to have that access. Where are you looking? And it's on Amazon. But how can you search for something if you don't know what you're looking for?
That's it.
Key for the consumer.
Right.
If you don't know what you're looking for, and someone who's in this industry and knows brands, understands the value, the ups and downs, the manufacturers, they know what to look for and what to bring in to care for your animal's well-being.
Absolutely. When it's funny you should say it, because that was one of my biggest fears in closing my door. How was I going to feed my animals? Because I do a mix of raw and canned. And I have to say the raw has become even more challenging for my cats. My dog is raw fed only. And I actually spent time working with several of the retailer stores saying, my clients are looking for certain things. Will you bring them in? Fortunately, I have some great retailers in the area, so I was able to work with it. But it is because, like you say, what you've done in finding those products that help the cats, particularly, again, we're going back to cats, thrive, not just survive, takes a lot of effort.
Yeah, it does.
To even sell that product. for people to stay, oh, no, just give it some time, work with it, recognize who you're working with. Yeah.
So what's next for you?
Wait, I want springtime and kayaking and fishing with my husband. That's what I keep saying.
Without a mask?
Yeah, that's the one thing on the water. You don't have to worry about that. That it is. I'm actually I have actually a dog webinar set up for March. I've got, I'm working on another webinar for CIVT.
What's CIVT? If you could just, I know what.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If you could elaborate, because I know you're doing a lot of work with CIVT. If you can touch on that.
And this is embarrassing to tell you, but it's, bear with me. I use it so often and I never get the acronym.
Integrative.
Veterinary. Hold on a second.
Therapeutics. Integrative.
They're going to kill me. They're going to kill me for not having this. Here we go.
I'm just sounding it out.
I'm sorry. It is a school out of Australia. They have fabulous classes, and College of Integrative Veterinary Therapies. Oh, Barbara's going to kill me, but I keep wanting to call it center, but it's not.
I called it center, so I thought it was center for some reason.
If I ever make my butt sit down and write out a lot of things, I would love to publish more, even booklets, just to help cats. That keep coming back to that because I think cats are underserved, and I think there's a lot of information.
Well, you're going to be doing the Cat University with me. We're going to be talking about kidney disease and diabetes.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm very excited about those. So we can go back and forth. Yay, I'm so excited.
So that's probably the next step. I'm still, there's a lot of, they don't tell you about closing up a business and all the due diligence. So that's a lot of things that I'm still working on and probably will be working on for a while. But then stepping ahead and trying to, figure out some of these things. I'd love to do, I gave cooking classes years ago. I'd love to figure out a way to do even some of those online, because I think, especially during the pandemic, there was an article I wrote on things that you can do if there are food shortages because of the problems that we saw. And I don't think we're quite over all of those yet. I think there are going to be some more shortages. And I think if people learn more about what their animals need, then they can be better about choosing some options to support commercial foods and not panic when they can't find their dog food on the shelf. So
that's for sure. That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's exciting. So you're doing a dog webinar and some courses on felines. You're going to be working with me on Cat University. We're going to be talking about various cat ailments and how to handle them and treat them. And I will be taking questions from listeners.
Great.
So I'm really excited about it. I already have a list of emails that I got from clients asking questions, because I put out a mass email saying,
did you?
We're going to have someone who's going to be talking about all these wonderful things. So we will be discussing what we can do to help our cats thrive using herbs, food, nutrition, and working with your vets, obviously. So,
and I also want to talk a little bit about, and this is something I think you and I can really look at, is some of the ingredients that are in the foods that pet owners need to be very careful about that are triggering disease. So those are some of the things that we'll look at, I hope.
Oh, we will. I'm excited to do this. So Terri, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your heart about PetSage.
You're going to make me cry. Stop.
Your journey. I'm doing a bachelorette thing. We had a journey. No, I'm sorry, The Bachelor. Everything is a journey. If you watch Jimmy Kimmel,
this is too much fun sometimes.
So this journey with pets. No, I love talking to you, and I think we have a lot that we can do together, and
I'd love it. Yeah.
coming together, I believe, with other like-minded business owners and perhaps pet owners, we can come together and create an environment where we can feed off each other and grow,
Right.
and
Absolutely.
have a quality of life and make a living and balance.
I would love even to have veterinarians share, their challenges. I don't think a lot of veterinarians, because, we tend to come back on, we were talking earlier, they don't get to share their frustrations of clients and what they're trying to deal with of manufacturers. So
and there's just a lack of information and they're being trained to handle the disease state immediately.
Right. Absolutely.
So we don't want to negate them.
No. But how can we help them step back, or help their clients step back and say, what got them to this point? Those are the things that I would love to see more information on, to be able to help them.
Let's get it done. Let's get it done. I'm looking forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.